We'll be starting in just a moment. So we have about 85 people coming in there. So welcome everybody. I'll just give everybody a moment to get situated, and then I'll get started. Hello, Diane. So we have 160 participants and growing. So I'm just going to give this a few moments just to let everybody get situated. We have Yannick, John, welcome. Hey, Mustafa. I guess you never get tired of me. Hello from Belgium. We got from Jos, Austin. Welcome, everybody. Hey, Dick, how are you? I'm feeling fair. Kind of struggling still, but thank you for asking, man. Thank you, Arda. I appreciate it. It's a long road. I just distract myself by trading. Hey, Raimundo, welcome. So we're almost at 200 participants. I guess when we hit 200, I'll start. Hopefully we won't have to wait too long. Thank you, Oyedele, if I pronounce that right. So we're almost at 200, 197. 199, 200. Okay, we have 200 people in the room. So welcome, 202. So welcome to this live 4-day trade execution webinar series. I've kind of subtitled it, How to Capitalize on Monster Moves in the Markets and also Avoid the Market Traps. My name is Mark Shawson, the pattern trader. This is live. Sometimes people ask me, is this live? Is this real time? It is. We'll actually look at some live and real-time charts in just a moment. I'm just going to give you a little bit of a background for those of you who don't know me. I started trading more years and decades ago than I care to acknowledge or remember. When I was really in my last years of college, I was at USC Business School out in California, one of the best business schools. And I was being taught on how to take apart investments from what we call a fundamental standpoint, where if you're looking at a stock, you're going to look at the price earnings ratio, you're going to look at an inventory turnover, you're going to look at management, what we call fundamental metrics. And then around the same time, I was in my junior year of college, I met a fellow by the name of Graham Loving. You can't make that name up. Graham was an investment banker. He was helping my dad raise some money for a drive-through animal park called Line Country Safari, which is actually still around. During the day, Graham was also, in addition to his investment in banking activities, he was actively trading the commodities futures markets. Everything from cocoa to orange juice to live hogs to cattle to soybeans to soybean meal. Literally, he was trading about 18 different markets simultaneously of the most exotic nature, you could ever imagine. And I thought to myself, how could you even analyze the fundamentals of the cocoa market? Never mind trade it. And he was doing all of this simultaneously, and he was doing it by just looking at what we call the price action. Just looking at how prices move, how they close from one day to the next. And he used to say to me, Mark, I just want to buy a market that's going up and sell a market that's going down. And to my childlike mentality, that just made perfect sense to me. And so ever since meeting Graham, I've been hooked on what we call technical analysis, the study of price movements, price charts, price patterns, price action. Now, the thing is, you'll see is that I don't use any indicators. I don't use moving averages. I don't use Bollinger Bands. I use what we call a clean or naked chart, where all I look at is price and time. And I'll go and take a look at that in just a moment. Now, you should have, in advance of this, when you registered, been sent a link where we sent you all kinds of patterns and things that I look at. So if you haven't already looked at it, that's probably something you should brush up on, because I look at, basically, I open up a chart and I say to myself, what is this thing doing? Is it going up, down, or sideways? And then sometimes it's reversing. And before it reverses, it always puts on a pattern. So I guess the best way to explain what I do is I'm going to show you some trades that I've done in the past, talk about some things that are going on. And as you'll see, I love to kind of give back. I love to kind of teach what, I've learned over the years, or try to teach. But at heart, I'm a trader. I trade every day. I trade very actively. I have, people that I meet with in the morning, something called the boiler room, where we trade the pre-market opening. And, some people can teach, those that can do, those who can't teach, right? So a lot of things that you've learned on the webinar about trading, it's theoretical. Most of it doesn't work. It's bollocks. And that's frankly why I decided to do what I do, because I saw there was a lot of misrepresentation. I'm going to show you all of my trades, good, bad, and indifferent. So here are my trades from today. I'm long puts, which is a bet on the downside, in BYND, which is Beyond Meat. I'm long the QQQs, which is the NASDAQ. I'm getting my ass kicked in that. I'm long what I've called a put option. So a put is a bet on a decline in a stock. So I'm going to talk to you about this little stock, QuantumScape, that I have made just 7 figures on, trading the short side of QuantumScape. And you can see that I'm up $33,000 in these puts. I'm also long these Uber calls. I'm getting my butt kicked and losing 28 grand in that. I'm also long Moderna, mRNA, and up a little bit there. I'm short Peloton. I actually closed out these shorts, made a nice bunch of money this morning. And then I've been short also QuantumScape's stock. I've been short since 29.75. It's trading around 24.22. So I'm making collectively about $180,000 short QuantumScape in this account, and I have many other accounts. So this is another account where I'm also long these Moderna, 4,500 Moderna. I'm long 500 puts in QuantumScape, and I'm also short 30,000 shares of QuantumScape. So all told, I'm up about 200 grand. So collectively in these two accounts, basically on the heels of QuantumScape, I'm up about $400,000. And these are not demo accounts, right? So I know there's a lot of misrepresentation, a lot of things, people will call me out on it, but here's the thing. I executed these QuantumScape trades in our live boiler room class last Thursday in front of like 100 people. So, it's not a demo account. I don't know where you could find a demo account where you could put on these different trades, but this is real as a heart attack. This is my personal trading account. And I show you my losses as well as my gains. So, and then, here are my FX profits. I've just been sitting long pound versus New Zealand dollar. I've talked about this pair just about on every webinar. If you've been on the last one, I was talking about the virtues of being long pound New Zealand. And I think this is the best risk reward trade on the board in the FX market right now. And I'll talk a little bit about that. I'm going to go through just a couple of trades to give you an example of how I look at the market. So this is this obscure stock called QuantumScape. Ticker symbol is QS. I've been shorting this thing forever. And I was saying to the members in our boiler room that I'm going to really miss QuantumScape when it, goes below $20 and, it doesn't make sense to short it anymore. And I mean, I've just made a fortune shorting every single rally based on the patterns and direction. So you can see there was a double top with what I call these key reversals, where you made a new high, close on the low, made a new high, close on the low. At this $50 area, I shorted it there. Then I shorted it here. I think Mustafa is on this webinar. Mustafa was on one of these webinars several months ago where I said at the $40 level that there's literally no risk in being short QuantumScape. And I have just been banging the short side of this thing. When you're short, you're taking advantage of the downside in a stock. And you can see that this stock, last March was about 70 bucks, and now we're trading at $24. Now, 2 Thursdays ago, right here in the pre-market session, when the market opened a little bit higher after reversing, I went short QuantumScape at $29.75. It was 8 cents off the high for that day, and it's gone down 8 of the last 9 trading sessions and closed right on the low today. I'm currently showing a profit about 400 grand in a combination of the short stock and the long put options, which is a bet on the decline. And I'm still, short all of that. So we'll see how we do this week in QuantumScape. So this was all the way back in April. I put out a sell recommendation on QuantumScape at $40, and now we're at 24. So I made 300 grand back in April on this thing, and now I'm making 400 grand. And so it's just been kind of like an unfair bet where I've just been, here's these options where I bought a put and made, 50 grand on these. So I've just been banging the short side of QuantumScape. Here's some options that I bought for 80 cents and $1. And here you can see they're trading 400% and 500% higher. So, sometimes I bet on these put or calls to take advantage of what I think is going to be in the market. So Mustafa, who's been a longtime member, says QuantumScape was one of the 3 best profitable trades ever. I shorted it at $41 a long time ago and closed the position at 26. I remember Mustafa was on that webinar where I said there was literally no risk in shorting it. I hate to say that, but it was the case. Now, one of my best trades was just about a month ago in a stock called Beyond Meat, ticker symbol BYND. So this is an email that I send to our elite members every evening where I recommended buying it at 120 based on several kind of technical conditions I saw in the market. I thought that this was setting up for a really rare opportunity. It was a trap down year, bear trap. And so I just thought it would be a coil. I said, crashing below and then rallying above the neckline suggests a bear trap has been sprung. If that is the case, prices could rocket higher very quickly. And based on my instinct, I bet a lot of money on this. I bought 5,000 shares in Beyond Meat at around 120. You can see at that point it was hit 139. I also bought 277 call options, which was an investment of $35,000. But also in another account, I bet 500 put options. This is after I closed out some, and I was buying these put options at around $1.50, and I ended up closing them out at about $23. And I made over 7 figures on this Beyond Meat in 3 days. And I shit you not, that was the case. And I'll show you what happened in Beyond Meat. It went from 120 to 150 in 3 days, and I made over 7 figures in that. And as you can see, I don't hide the losses either. I was getting buried in the QQQs and these Tesla call options at the same time. So this is just an example of how you see things in the market and what can happen. So I'll go into pound versus New Zealand dollar. I've been looking at this since last December, this double bottom price pattern. And despite all this carnival ride roller coaster, I've been telling our members that you have to trust the pattern. I have extremely wide stops on my positions. You can see I bought this at 196.11. My stop loss was 300 pips away, and I still have that position. I added to the position at 196.87 and several other points after that, and I currently hold 5 long positions in pound New Zealand dollar with a collective profit of 140 grand right now. And so that's basically what I do. I'll just show you some gold trades where everybody was predicting that gold was going to go to the moon. I saw it in a very bearish price pattern, And right midway through this bearish price pattern, this ascending, broadening price pattern, I said to our members, you should sell it at 1867. And at the time, my target objective was $1,700. And it went to $1,680 after that. I added to the position at 1697, and these two positions bagged me quite a bit of money as I held on them for several weeks. So I got in them at 1842 and 1795 and got out around 1687. So this is how I use price action in the markets to bag these kind of profits. And so I'll go kind of live into the markets now, talk about some of the markets that I'm looking at. So this is the stock of this very obscure stock called QuantumScape. Now, I realize some of you may not trade stocks, some of you may not have access to certain stocks, but what I try and point out in the next couple of days together is just a way of looking at the markets. So I don't care if this was natural gas or corn or gold or the euro versus the yen. I look at everything, through the same prism, which is basically I look at a clean chart. And when I say a clean chart, you can see there is no volume here. There is, no moving averages. There are no Bollinger Bands. There's no MACD. There's nothing that you see on most charts. I just look at a clean or naked chart. And just from looking at this thing, I have literally made millions of dollars looking at nothing else than this, what's in front of everybody. So whenever I look at a chart, the first thing I say to myself, well, what is this thing doing? What is this? If I just open this now, if I asked you, is this in an uptrend or a downtrend? Well, it's dropped from a price of $150 to $24. So I would say that it's in a pretty profound downtrend. So once we kind of understand the direction, then all you want to do is surrender to the will of the market and get on board, the direction of the market. Now, there were several price patterns that indicated the direction was going to be lower. So this is what I look at, patterns in the market. So frankly, all the way back in December, I knew this thing was over, that this move up was now exhausted and we were going to go lower. Now, how did I know that? Well, basically, there are certain patterns that appear in the market. Like I said, when you registered, you should have received a booklet with certain common price patterns. And when you see a pattern, it has usually the same implications. So I'm always searching for some color that'll give us some contrast. So this was a left shoulder, the head, and the right shoulder. So this looks like a man or woman's head and shoulders. So this is a reversal price pattern, which means that leading up to this pattern, prices were going higher. And it being a reversal, once this neckline is triggered, it then indicates that prices are going to go lower. And that's exactly what has occurred. So I just look at these pictures and they tell me exactly where the market's going to go. We don't really have to overcomplicate it that much. Now, since this, so right here, once it penetrated this neckline, this indicated that this was, going to go lower. But I always say, the market is kind of like a magician. It never shows you its intentions right away. Just like a magician doesn't come on stage and just pull a rabbit out of the hat. He's always doing some misdirection with his left hand while he's pulling his rabbit out of the hat with the right hand. And the market's the same thing. So even though I knew right here that we were going to go lower, you can see that the market always has these misdirects to shake out the weak hands. But if you understand the cards that you're holding, then you understand how to play these misdirects. And every time it came up here and formed this double top or this double top, I just simply shorted into it. You can see that you had a double top there, double top there, you had a double top there, you had a double top there, and then you had a double top last week where I shorted it there. So it's like a cliche. I mean, this thing has been doing the same thing for months and months. And then after it does the same thing, it goes in, in the same direction. So I have just been shorting every rally in QuantumScape. And like I said, I'm going to miss this like a family member, when hopefully it crashes and, goes off the board at some point, where it's just not going to be, the same kind of risk reward shorting it at 60 as, it would be shorting it at 15. I think the stock is going to 10, 5, and probably 0 at some point. And you can see right now that QuantumScape is just sitting on a ledge. Now, some people say, well, isn't this a double bottom? No, it's not. This is really a double top. And so this is the only support holding this entire weight, the whole collective weight of QuantumScape is literally sitting on these two guys. So what do you think is going to happen? It's kind of like a tug of war between 4 sumo wrestlers on one side and 3 Girl Scouts on the other side. Eventually, this weight is just going to give in. And so I am heavily short this stock. I know it looks like nothing to most people. I've had webinars where I've asked people, to what they think, and they can't make heads or tails of it. And to me, this has just been the layup in the best risk reward trade I've seen in a long time. This is going to go nowhere but lower over time. But eventually, it's not going to be a play anymore. I'm hoping, that this thing goes to 20 this week. I have 1,000 put options. If it goes to 20, I'd make 500 grand just on the puts. So, I'm kind of hoping just for that kind of move this week. We'll see what happens. Are there any questions on QuantumScape before I move on? Does kind of everybody, Dakin says, wow, this is impressive. So I look at everything from a picture. I just say to myself, what's going on in this thing? Is this an uptrend? Is this a downtrend? Is there a pattern that's indicating the next trajectory? And then I try and get on board, where that pattern is indicating. So when you see all of these bear price patterns, they indicate that it's going to go lower. This has been telling you it's going to go lower, everything ever since this thing crapped out all the way in December. So Manura says, will we get a recording? Yeah, I think there will be one available. MV says, hey, Mark, which puts did you buy on QS? I missed it. So I bought the 25 put options. I bought the put options right. Where are these things? Right here. So these are the 25 that expire the end of this week. So I bought these when the stock was around 29. And I'm not really getting paid as much as you think I would. It's basically just in the money. So it's a $25 strike, which means that the stock has to be below $20. And you can see QuantumScape closed at 24.24, 24.25 called. So it's 75 cents in the money. And so I bought the 25 put options when the stock was at 29. I bought these for about 70 cents, 60 cents, and now I've got about a double on them. I'm not doing as well on them as you would think, but now they are in the money. It'll go dollar for dollar. So if this thing goes from 24 to 23, this thing will go from $1.37 to $2.37. It'll basically double every dollar that it goes down. So this thing goes down $5 times 500, I would make $250,000 on those. And I've got the same amount in another account. So pretty heavy bet. And then I'm just going to keep these shares short. So I've got 60,000 shares short. And I think I'm just going to keep it. I mean, until it hits $10, so, but I've got just till the end of the week for these options to start hitting. Richard says, how many candles do you need? So there's no definite number of, distance between, candles. Or I use a bar chart, right? So I don't use candles. I like to see how something closes. To me, how something closes relative to the high and low is very important. So I call this a key reversal. When something closes closer to the low than the high, to me, this indicates that the sellers were in control. And you can see right here. So this was the distance between these two candles or bars, but you can see that they made new high, and each one of those bars It settled on the low of the day. So in addition to the double top, it was the price action. And you had the same thing here. You had a double top right there, and both of those days closed on the low. So it's the combination of the resistance level, the double top, as well as the price action, that key reversal, that clued me that this was a time to get short. I'll take a look at Zoom today, and I think Zoom is something that, I'm really excited to get short tomorrow based on a key reversal price action. So this is the stock of Zoom. We've all heard of, this company that made our lives easier during the pandemic. And I, made a fortune trading this stock up and down. Now, I think Zoom is inherently in a long-term down chart. We've had a, recent uptrend, but you can see here's the double top right there. Here's this head and shoulders. So it looks like a man or woman's head and shoulders. This to me is what I call the governing price pattern. So this governs or dictates, the future trajectory of prices. And you can see since that double top was made at $588, we went to $288. So that pattern did its job. It told you where it was going from that juncture. You got a double top here, and now you can see you got a bit of a double top here, and then you got these two key reversals. Made a new high, close on the low. Today we made a new high and close on the low. So guess what? Tomorrow when it opens, I'm just going to short into a higher open. And this is also forming an interesting price chart that I use to sell gold. It's called an ascending broadening price pattern. You can see throughout this pattern, the market ascends. It starts out narrow and then widens or broadens out at the top. And so we know that if we break this, I know exactly where this is going to. I don't have to guess. It's going back to the beginning of the pattern. So this will go back to 345 at least. So this is what I'm looking at into tomorrow to sell short Zoom into a higher opening. So Dagan says, so this is a daily chart. So I use a combination daily, weekly, or monthly. I'm not using a 5-minute chart because I want to take the big pieces out of the market, right? I'm looking for, you can see that QuantumScape, I've taken 20%. It's dropped from $29 to $24, and I'm still in it. So it's, that's a massive move on a percentage basis. And this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking to take a piece out of the middle. So when I said, I'm going to tell you how to capitalize on monster moves in the market, I want to take a piece of the middle out of moves like this or moves like that. I'm not looking to trade a 5-minute chart for, $2 or $3 here or there. So in order to take a bigger piece out of the market, you need to have a longer term perspective to understand what's going on. So to my mind, this is, I'm pretty excited about getting short Zoom tomorrow. So that's Zoom. So let me talk about pound versus New Zealand dollar. This is a Forex pair that I have. This is a very difficult pair to trade. But again, if you understand the bigger picture, so I always say, you need to understand the cards you're holding. And if you're trading a 15-minute chart, you can't understand the cards you're holding. It's just straight gambling. The market can go anywhere in the next 15 minutes. But as you can see, this is a weekly chart that goes back 4 or 5 years. And all the way back here, despite the fact that the market cratered, I was yelling from the foothills to our members in 2016 that this market has formed a major bottom. So you can see the market careened much lower. But when it did, it formed this double bottom, which is exactly what it sounds like. Makes a major new bottom, bounces, retests that bottom. And when it goes through the neckline, that basically confirms that a bottom has been put in. And if a market has bottomed, then it can only do what? It can only go higher over time. And by the way, I don't think this is going to be an exaggeration. I bet you if we meet 3 or 6 months from now, it's going to be up there. I think this has still got a 2,000 or 3,000 pip move left in it. So I think this is one of the best risk reward trades on the board, but it is not easy. This thing bounces 300-400 pips, like, with its eyes closed. So right here, you also had a rounding bottom. So this to me was the bottom. And then after it bottomed, it put on a series of, here was a double bottom there. And then in December, I said to our members, this is bottomed. And I said, it has bottomed, but it's not going to turn around right away. When something goes straight down like this, it doesn't go straight up. Markets need to they have a certain aesthetic. They need to build certain space so that they can, go from an uptrend, a downtrend to an uptrend. And this has just been building a space. And to me, the bigger the base, the more into space. And this thing has built a nice this is a weekly chart, right? So each one of these bars is 1 week in time. So you can see that last week you had this key reversal, made a new low, closed at the high, right into the neckline of this double bottom inverted head and shoulders. So now I just see that this thing has got white space, and you can see I've been long 5 positions, pound New Zealand, and just sitting here for weeks and months. And I think, months from now, you're going to see it up here. But I wanted to show you something. So I always get into a discussion about stop losses and take profits. And it's not an easy discussion because, every instrument is going to be different. It depends where you get into it and where that thing is headed and what you believe the belief is. So this is a chart off my MetaTrader right now. Maybe I should take a bigger chart even, 4 hour. Let me just see something. Yeah, so let me just take a picture of the daily chart. So I started buying this thing a long time ago. Let me just blow this up. And this is an example of how, you have to trust the patterns because this is not easy. So this was the double bottom that I talked about on that chart. Came down here, retested. And so buried in all this price action was this bottom. Now, I saw this on the daily and, we also saw it on the weekly. And so to my mind, this has just been in a stealth bull market, despite the fact that you came careening lower. It just started collecting itself, putting in this bottoming pattern. This is kind of inverted head and shoulders. And this whole thing is just a neckline. And now we're starting to clear above everything. But you can see that I started buying it, in here, in here. I bought it in 1,000 places. And the red lines are all the way where I put my original stop losses. So these guys right here, this is a stop loss and that's a stop loss. So you can see, despite the fact that, no, I bought it after it came down here. So after it broke out of this little collection here, I started buying it here, 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 here. And my stop losses were all the way back here. So despite the fact that, we rallied, I'm still in these things. So I must have bought it after, right here. I bought it. So hang on a second. I bought it after these recent tests. Here, here, here. And so my stop loss is all the way down here where these red lines are. So despite the fact that it went to make a new high recently, you can see that I bought it right here at 195.62, in May. I bought it right there in May. And then after it went from 195.26, it went to almost 2,000. I was making 500 pips. And you can see that I never moved my stop loss. They're still there. But what happened was we had a 400 pip downdraft. So this is what this thing does. That's an 800 pip downdraft. That's a 600 pip downdraft. So Pound New Zealand has these amazing downdrafts, but I keep on saying to anybody on these webinars is that you have to just close your eyes and buy these big downdrafts because this thing is collecting itself for a massive move higher. So despite the fact that it moved 500 pips, I never moved my stop loss, and they're still back there. I still, even though it's trading back here, I haven't moved my stop to a break even or, above. I'm holding like 400 or 500 pips now collectively, and I have not moved my stop loss. So in the, discussion of, stop loss, take profit, it's an art, it's not a science. It depends on what you're looking for in a trade. And I'm looking for this. So if I'm looking for this, I got to be willing to cough up that in exchange for that. You just cannot risk 30 pips to make 3,000. It's just not going to happen. So, I will talk to you about a risk management tomorrow on how you can downsize your positions to be in or a huge move like this. But I think this is where Pound New Zealand is going to go. So Burjesh says, how do you decide when to get in, to use trend lines? So all I look at is patterns, right? So this double bottom right here with the word bottom in it says what? It says the market can only do one thing. If this is bottomed, it can only do one thing. And so you have to really trust that because you can see after it bottomed, this thing threw just all kinds of crap at you. It just looked like a carnival ride. But guess what? It's been going higher since it bottomed, and it will continue to go higher. Now, how do I know that? Do I have a pipeline to the monetary policies, the central banks in New Zealand and the UK? I do not. This is all I know. So this is what I call a governing chart pattern, because this is going to govern or dictate the movements going forward. How far it's going to go up, when it's going to go, those are the unknowns. But this much I do know is that this thing has bottomed. We also have this inverted head and shoulders. So the combination of the double bottom, inverted head and shoulders, and now we're trading above this neckline tells me that this thing's confirmed, and the next resistance is about 201, and then 210, and then 218, and it's going to go and hit all of those levels. So to me, I've been saying this for the last 3 webinar series like this. You got to close your eyes, buy it, hold it, and every time it comes careening down, you got to buy more. And that's what I do. I just buy into every dip. So Daniel says, can it be just testing the neckline and it's bearish? It could be, but I don't think so. It's also, this, but, I just showed you what's going on the weekly chart. So I'm looking at this thing going all the way back to the double bottom here, the double bottom there, the double bottom there. So this has been in a stealth uptrend for 5 years. It bottomed out at 168 and it's now at 2000. So we're up 3,500 pips, even though it's just been a complete roller coaster. When you look at it, so this looks very sideways. So, like I said, when I open up a chart, I try and say to myself, is this an uptrend, a downtrend, or sideways? And I, by and large, won't trade a sideways market. Now, I don't know whether I should get into this. I'll also trade what I call counter trend moves. So even though this, I believe, is in a long-term uptrend, there have been all kinds of times where this thing has come off. And I will short those. But I will short those knowing that these are what I call counter to the main trend. So my take profit, my objectives on these trades will be very different than on this trade. But that's a discussion for another time. So there's, a lot of nuances. I can't, I don't want to overwhelm you guys. But by and large, this one is a little bit more tricky because if you open this up and I asked you, well, what is this doing? Basically it's been doing nothing. It's really trading where it's, in the middle of where it's been for the last 4 years. But to me, this guy tells me that this is going that way. And so, buried within all of this price action, I try and find patterns that tell me which way I need to be faced. what is what I call the governing price pattern. So to me, this is the governing pattern because this is going to govern or dictate how this market goes going forward. So, people always ask you do you trade the news? Well, you're going to have an FOMC meeting on Wednesday where the central bank in the US is going to say something and the market's going to move a ton. But this all the way back here is going to tell you how all of these central bank and the market is it's a discounting mechanism. The market is ahead of the news. If we could all trade the news, it'd be easy. Go downstairs, buy a Wall Street Journal, and we could all be rich. But the market doesn't work that way. The market is ahead of the news. The market is anticipatory. The market is seeing 3 months, 6 months, 9 months down the road. It doesn't care what Jerome Powell says tomorrow, on Wednesday. And this is looking like this to me. I've said it, in every one of these webinars, and, I'm still not proven wrong. Yes, there's been a whole bunch of times where it looks scary, but, every one of those was just a buying opportunity. And I said so at the time. Jerry says, do you use standard measurement for potential targets? So, all I know now is this is going higher. How much, where, when, in what time frame, that, is somewhat inherently unknowable. To me, why I'm able to make these huge rips in the market is if you understand where your risk is, then where the market's going to go is the unknown. But what I know pretty much for sure is that that's my risk. So if I know this is my risk, then, where this market goes, how it goes, when it gets there, I don't know. That part I can't control. What I can control is understanding my risk. And if you can understand your risk, then you can stay in these big trades. So people always say, well, it's just like crazy how you can stay in these trades for months and weeks. And to me, I just rely on the pattern. I've been in this crazy QuantumScape, for, 8 straight days while it's come down on me. I got in at 29.75. I got $152,000 profit on that position, but and I will continue staying in that position as long as the market, is going to, have me, as long as it's going in the direction. So where it's going to go, in what time frame, what are the targets? First off, I think this is the first target, 203, then 210, and then 218. And then let's deal with it then. It'll be a classy problem to have. I might hedge some, I might take some off. We'll take a look then. But the whole point is that if I can understand where my risk is, like on Zoom tomorrow, so on Thursday, I bought Moderna at the low of the day. So here's Moderna. It actually doesn't show my trades. I got in at 216. I dumped them. I reinitiated these trades. I've made, a couple $100,000 in just the last couple of days in Moderna, and sent out emails to those on. So what I look for are the little gifts that the market hands to you on the opening. You get these dislocations, but first you have to understand what a market's telling you, and then you can, understand the dislocation. So this is Moderna mRNA, the daily chart. This is the vaccine maker. It's obviously, if I asked a 6-year-old what, if, is this going up or down? I think he would be able to tell me, or she would be able to tell me. It's gone from $50 to $250. It's in a virulent uptrend. And recently you put on this consolidation in the form of this ascending triangle, right? This long-term triangle. Then it broke out. And what I really like about it, broke out, and then it retested the breakout, put this little double bottom. And then once it came back and retested it and made a new high, this basically tells you that this breakout is as real as a heart attack. So now once I understand this is in a uptrend, it's broken out, it's going to go much higher, you can see that on last Wednesday, the stock was down $11. And then on Thursday, the Dow Jones, for some reason, was going to open 500 lower. The QQQs, which is the NASDAQ, was going to open 600 lower. And you can see the next day, Moderna was going to open $5 lower after it had been down $11 the previous day. So I said to those in, my morning, program called the Boiler Room, I said, I'm just going to buy this thing blind in the pre-market session. I started buying this thing at 216. And 12 minutes later, it was at 232. I made $50,000 in 4 minutes. And if you don't believe me, I will go and get those trades. But my point is, I use the information entirely from the market based on price action. So this is an uptrend. This is an ascending triangle. This is a breakout. And so sometimes the market hands you these little gifts. And I'll take them all day long. So let me try and find these trades. I don't like to say anything that I can't back up. There's so much bullshit on the internet, and misrepresentation that I like to back up what I say. So I'm trying to find. So here it was. I bought, and it's not showing it on the same page. I'm trying to get on the same page, but so on Thursday, into this lower opening, you can see this left slash mark is where it opened. I actually bought it in the pre-opening at 216. So here is, I only got filled. I tried to put in more and they only filled me on 900 shares. So this was in the extended hours in the AM in the pre-market session. I was filled at 216, 900 shares. And then I bought and then I bought 2,000 shares more at 217. So I bought roughly about 3,000 shares at 216 to 217. And you could see I sold some at 231. It doesn't tell you the time, but this was like 10 minutes later. I bought it at 217 and bought it at 217, sold it for 231, like 12 minutes later. I made about $50,000 on those shares in about 3 minutes in front of 50 people. So I'm not just saying something. And the point is that the market gives you these little dislocations. And so even if you didn't grab that, so now this is a huge uptrend. And so you can see after it bottomed on Thursday at 216, it made this huge key reversal pointing in the direction it wants to go. This is like the pound New Zealand weekly key reversal where market makes a new high and closes, makes a new low and closes on the high. You can see that when you see these trades, they point in the direction they want to go. So you had a combination of a key reversal and what I call an inside bar. So on Friday, you had this little inside bar where literally the high and low of Friday sits within the high and low of the previous day. So it looks like this. And to me, it doesn't matter where an inside bar closes. All it represents to me is that this is a compression. It's a compression. It's a building of energy. And then based on the prior direction and patterns, we can surmise which way the energy is going to release. And I bought more into a new high here today based on the fact that we broke out of here. So you can see that the energy just released in the direction of this. So I call this kind of the beach ball effect, because it's like, picture if you place your hand on top of the beach ball and you compress it further and further underwater, and then you let your hand off. What's going to happen? The energy is just going to uncork. And this is what, the market does. So a combination of just the key reversal, the inside day bar, after you had this double bottom, after you have this huge uptrend, this just suggests that this is going to make a monster move to the upside. And really what I'm trying to, communicate is that this is all I look at, is very simple pictures and price action. There's nothing complicated. There's no volume, there's no MACD, there's no moving averages, there's no Bollinger Bands. There's nothing complicated. And I'm not looking at a 15-minute chart. I want to take a piece of a monster move, take a piece of the middle of a monster move. So are there any questions? So Brigitte says, so it's just double bottom, top, double bottom, head and shoulders, which means long-term only. Do you trade short-term scalping? Yeah. I mean, I scalped $5 out of the market on Peloton this morning. So sometimes I'll just use where's Peloton? I was really lucky because I got out of this thing and it turned right back around. So I sold short 4,000. I put a limit order. So in the pre-market session, it was trading about 118, 119. I put a limit order a little bit higher at 120 and just hit it. The high was 120.14. So I got in 4,000 shares at 120. Then I sold another 1,000 shares at 117 and got out of both of them at between 115 and 115.50. So I made $5 on like 5,000 shares, like 25 grand in about 25 minutes. And again, I just used the price action like, I'm going to look at Zoom tomorrow. So in this case, it reversed higher, but it opened on the high, and by virtue of the previous price action, I surmised it needed to go lower. So I just took that $5 out. Now, Peloton looks like something completely different than it looked today. And now, I'm out and it looks completely different. But, I'll use these. So if something gives me, a key reversal like Zoom, like let's say it closed at 279. So let's say it's trading at 383 tomorrow in the pre-market session. I'll just sell into that, using the previous high at 292 as my risk. So I don't want to get too into the weeds with all of that. Wayne says, what size account can I use to trade? You can use any account. I'm going to show you how you can use any trade size to take advantage. So some people sometimes get very intimidated that I take the monster moves out of the market. They think you have to have a monster account to do that. No, it just means you just have to take smaller position sizes. And I'm going to show you exactly how to size up your trades and size up your risk in tomorrow's session. So Wayne, remind me, and I will show you a position size calculator. So you can trade pound New Zealand. You can put a 400 pip stop in it, no matter what, even if you have a $500 account size. Michael says, is a pattern more important than a hot theme like blockchain or a meme stock? Yeah, don't trade trends.
Hey Mark, a question from Jan is asking if you can take a look at CAT and asking if is it rebounding before it goes lower?
So I really want to take questions on the methodology. We can go into 100 charts. I really want to take questions on the price pattern. So I was looking at cat short. the other day, based on what I perceived was what looks to be like this double top here. But Caterpillar is riding this monster trend line. You can see that every time it hits this trend line, it bounces off of it. And it looks like it did it, so now the question is, how long does this bounce extend for? And it looks like it could still, I don't know. We'll see what happens in here. I still feel like, this thing is put in a top, which means, at some point it may run into trouble. But right now it's got a base of support. I'm not doing anything. It looks like it's going higher, but right now you have some history here that you need to get through. So it's a little bit complicated. So it's got a lot of support. The path of least resistance is higher. And, I don't have a position in it right now.
All right, another question from Henry is, when do you short versus buy put options?
So that's a very good question, somewhat complex. So for instance, tomorrow in Zoom, I prefer not to put $378 a share up and buy the put options. But because this is such a volatile stock, the puts are so expensive. So typically, if I'm going to buy a put, first off, you need a big move very quickly. Usually I'm only buying a week out. In the case of QuantumScape, I bought like a couple weeks out. I bought the 25. These are the July 16th. So I bought 2 weeks ago. So I gave myself a bit more time. I gave myself till the end of this week. So here are the 25s, and they cost like $1, which means they've got about 50 cents of pure premium in them, because it's got 75 cents of value now because it's trading at 24.25 plus the 50 cents that you need to pay. So if you wanted to buy, let's say the 22 and a halves, all you have to do, it would cost you 19 cents. And this may be a really good play. This is something you could double your money on, even if the thing drops $1 tomorrow. It would give these things a scare, and you could see this thing move. So you can see how cheap these are. But so my point is, when I bought these, I bought them at 60 cents. And when I buy a put, I want to make at least 3 to 5 on my money, if not 5 to 10. In the case of Beyond Meat, I made 15. I mean, 1.5 went to 23. So, those kind of scores pay for all of the times that you lose. I'm losing like a bunch of money on Uber right now. And so in order for me to justify buying a put or call, I have to make 3 to 5 times my money. And so you can see with Zoom, it's very difficult because the premium is so high. So where is Zoom here? So I want to go short this tomorrow at, let's say, 380, and let's say it's going to go to 3. So if you come to the options, you'll see that we're trading at 380 right now. So let's look at the 375 puts. They're $5. That expires on Friday. So for me to make 3 to 5 times my money, this would have to go to 15, which means that the stock would have to go to 360 by Friday. Now, it could still do it. This thing looks like it could get punished, and it could do it. But actually, these have come down a little bit. I think the volatility is getting more compressed, and the premiums are coming in. So this is not as bad as it used to be. Let me just kind of check. So the 360s. So the point is, just short, long story short, is that you buy a put or a call when you believe that you're going to have a move and it's going to be imminent. So when I made 7 figures in BYND, the reason why I kind of bought the calls was that I thought that there was going to be, a huge move by virtue of what it was doing as well as what it wasn't doing. So this one's a little bit complicated. This is kind of a really crazy chart that, looks like nothing. But When I look at BYND, I thought it was inherently bearish. So this looks like a double top here. This looks like a double top here. I shorted the bejesus out of this all the way here, made a ton of money. So, and this whole thing looks like a double top to me right here. So if I was looking at this as a double top, then this was the neckline, and this neckline extends further back. It hit this thing so many times at 113. You can see how many times it hit it here. It hit near here. It hit it many, many times. So when it was here, I knew we had to come back here. Now we come back here and we break this thing. Now, if this thing was really bearish, it should have just continued going, right? It should have done that. So, I look at these patterns and then say to myself, well, if the pattern is real, then a market should do one thing. But in this case, you can see it kind of did a U-turn and came right back above the neckline. And I said, you know what? Something's wrong here. All kinds of warning signs went on that, this should have gone down and now it's going the other way. And so you can see that it came above this neckline here. And then in this day, it put on this little inside day bar, just like Moderna. This coil, this building of energy. And I knew what this meant. I was buying this in the pre-market session at 120. Now you can't buy the options in the pre-market. You have to wait for the regular session. So by the time this thing opened, it opened higher, about 123, and I was buying the 125 options for $1.55. And you can see 3 days later, this thing, my options went from $1.55 to $23. And the stock went from 120 to 152. And I made 1.2 million in that 3-day period of time. Where did I put these trades? There. So you can see I bought 5,000 shares at 120 because it was trading at 139 at the time. And I bought these at $1.50. They were trading at 15.5. You can see the next day they're trading at 19, and I got out at 23. So this is what you look for. You're not going to find it every day or every week, but the market presents you with these little opportunities. And so I will bet heavily on puts or calls if I believe there's going to be a move one way or another. Now, this gets very troublesome when it goes like this, because then, your puts and calls get wasted. And then you have to sell them and do other kinds of things. So you have to believe that there's going to be an imminent move very, very quickly in order to buy a put or a call. Daniel says May 19th had a bullish inside day bar. Yeah, that's exactly, I bought that inside day bar. And it led to that huge explosion. Now I'm actually short. I bought the puts. It's kind of a crazy bet, but it looks like this thing is leaking. It's got this inverted, this head and shoulders with this sloping neckline. So I actually bought a crazy bet. I bought the 130 puts that expire at the end of this week for, I don't know, 40 cents. It was kind of a throwaway bet, but let's see what happens. I still, I should just get short the shares here, because I think this thing looks like, it's on. This double top looks like, this thing is still, going to punch lower. So I think that BYND is a short.
So Mark, what do you look for when you are exiting a trade?
So, the same thing that, puts me in a market, a pattern or a price action is the same thing that gets me out of a market. So, for instance, I was short Zoom forever, Zoom and Peloton. I was short for about 8 months. And then I saw certain things in the market. So the same thing that puts me in the market takes me out. So you can see that this pattern, this was the bear price, the double top, the head and shoulders. There was another double top here. And every, like QuantumScape, every rally up into this 330, 340, I shorted. And then it would come back down and go back to 320. I'd wait for it, I'd short it again. I just had a field day shorting this thing. And then it started to crash under all of these lows, and I thought that we were going to make a huge move lower. So you can see that right here, we had this descending triangle, and then we made 8-month lows. So right here, right there, you can see that, you know, we made a new low for a long, long time. And I thought the double tops, the descending triangle, the busting of this neckline, I thought this is what we were going to see. I was fully thought that Zoom was going to go down another $100 from there. And so this is, I think, my maturation. So when I was a kid, I saw these charts and, you know, I'd go to the bank on them. But now what I do is I surrender to the, I look at, I draw my structure. So I draw my, you know, my descending triangle, my support, and then I see what the market does. And you can see the market did kind of crack through here. But the minute it did that, it made this key reversal, made a new low, and close at the high. Now, you never want to see this. If you're short, you don't want to see a reversal against you. And then you had another one right in the same area, made a new low, close at the high. And so now you had this perspective double bottom right here, which is exactly what it was. So you had a double bottom, you had these key reversals, and then I sent out an email. I said a trading bottom has been put in. I think that Zoom is still coming down long term, but a trading bottom. And you went from 280 to 400 off that bottom. So despite the fact that I was shorting this thing, I thought it was going much lower. These two guys told me that, you know, that downtrend had stopped. And so, you know, the same thing that I was looking for that put me short here, these two guys told me that that short move was over and a trading bottom was put in. And now I think you put in a top and you're going lower. So the market tells me by virtue of a pattern or a price action, makes a new high, close on the low, makes a new high, close on the low. And so, you know, the market tells me when, you know, to get in and when to get out. All right, so we're about an hour into it. I'll take one or two more questions and then we'll leave some more on the table for the next couple of days. Those are not 1 hour bars. Like I said, I don't trade intraday. This is a daily chart. I either try daily, weekly, or monthly because why? Because I want to take a bigger piece out of the market. I'm not looking to trade a $5 move. If I stay in this trade, I'm looking to, you know, take $20, $30, $40 out of this trade.
Mark, can you gather the same information that you do from candlesticks as you do from the OHCL bars?
You know, you can, but to me, you know, I just see these bars very clearly. So I just see this, makes a new high, close on the low, makes a new high. So I guess I'm old, you know, you get comfortable with what you know. And so, you know, there is no one way of doing things. You know, if you find something and you have an edge in doing it, then do it. I just see, you know, the close very clearly. You know, to me, this looks very clear where I can see the close like this, where I can see this makes a new high and close on the low and points in the direction it wants to go. So I use bar charts. I know I'm a fossil, a dinosaur. It's what I'm used to, and I make a lot of money doing it. So
Can't argue with that. Another
because
question.
can ETFs be traded? So anything under the moon that has a high, low, and close can be traded with this strategy. You know, all I'm looking at is direction. You want to be pointed or faced in the direction that the market is saying. And sometimes it gets a little nebulous and murky. I think on balance, this is still a downtrend by virtue of this global pattern here. This is still a governing pattern. You know, this basically has just bounced. I think this is a bounce in a bear market. And now I see this ascending, broadening price pattern, and these two. I'm really short. I'm really keen to short Zoom. I am going to load up tomorrow on shorting Zoom.
Mark, how do you find the trades that you do?
So you know, I, look, I've been trading a long time, and I try and assemble, half a dozen stocks in every sector: industrials, health, technology, cyclicals, what have you. But then I go beyond that. I look at a screener, which is literally this is a great site. I'll put this in the, you can, so I look at this stock. You can screen for patterns. You can screen for sizes of companies. You can put any kind of screen you want. And sometimes I'll spend hours and hours, just trying to find chart patterns that, I can find something else to trade. I also trade earnings. So every day there's an earnings calendar, right? And tomorrow there's going to be a whole bunch of bank stocks that, in the pre-market session. So before the market opens, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, all these companies will announce earnings. And what I'll do is I'll actually look at the chart patterns and buy stocks before the earnings. And you can make a fortune, you can lose a fortune doing this. But what this does is, it gives me ideas. I look at all of these symbols, I see what these charts are doing, and I'm always looking for the next, great idea, the next QuantumScape, because QuantumScape is, not going to be a great idea, once it goes under, $20 or $15 anymore. I can't do my magic anymore. So Wayne, I can't really, suggest what you do with IR money. What I'm suggesting you do with IR money is what you do with any money is I trade all kinds of instruments, whether it be gold, the yen, what have you, all doing the same thing. So whether you have an IRA money or whether you have speculative money or whether you have whatever, I just look at, patterns. So this is gold. I've been shorting gold. I'm not doing anything in gold right now. So, whatever you're doing, I use the same principles, the same methodology. If you're trading, dollar yen, it doesn't matter. If you're trading stocks, I look at everything through the chart, through the prism of price action and price patterns. So, dollar yen is, and maybe I should leave something for tomorrow. I'm gonna, leave this for tomorrow. I'll take, just one or two. So Brian says, how far do you go out in your options? It really, it's a feeling. You have to really kind of just, sometimes I'll put it really far, thinking that if I have a big move, maybe the options will just get a scare. And, you can, get a bump 50, 100%, even if the stock doesn't go through your strike. So it's just really an instinct, a feeling based on, what that thing is going to do. I mean, one of my best trades a couple months ago was in Lyft. I don't know if I can find these trades. Here. So this was in Lyft. I remember I was coming right out of surgery. I sent out an email to buy Lyft at 45.83 because Lyft has a massive double bottom on the weekly. I was saying to my wife all the way back in January, I love the look of this stock, even though nobody was talking about it. It was the second cousin to Uber. And I was looking at this for a while. And then prices came off. They dropped from 50 to 44. And I just thought it was the best opportunity. I started buying the stock at 45.68. I bought like 8,000 shares. And made about 90 grand on the stock. And then I was buying the $46 calls at 92 cents, and they went to $7 3 days later. I made 760% profit. And then I also bought the $47 calls at $1.10 and blew them out for $6 and made 454% in 3 days. I made about $250,000 in Lyft. And this was something that, I really liked at the time. So it's all, options are really about timing. It's about a feel. So again, it all starts off with a picture. What is this thing going to do? And then why is it going to do that? So to me, Lyft put in this double bottom right here. And so it told me that this thing was going to levitate, that, if it put in a bottom, it's going to go higher. So you can see right here, this thing dropped from $50 to 44, and I'll blow it up on the daily. But the point is, once I understood on the weekly and the long term what was going on, that's when I just loaded it up right here. And it's like pound New Zealand, where you see these sell-offs, it looks very scary. So that's the point. If you're looking at this on a 15-minute chart, it looks like a carnival ride. It looks like this thing is going lower, and you got to get on board on this thing. This is a downtrend. But to me, I knew this thing put on a double bottom here. It had this double bottom, and so I thought it was just destined to go higher. So right here was where I saw this. It sold off and put a double bottom right there, these two lows. And then you can see this inside day bar right here. This was the little guy there. And I just had an instinct. I just felt, sometimes you just feel in your water that this thing, is going to do something, like Beyond Meat a couple of weeks ago, where you see the double bottom, you see that little coil. And so, all you have to do to confirm is put a buy stop there and let the market do all the work. So this is where I bought the stock. And this is where I bought the $46 calls at 90 cents and the $47 calls for $1.10. And by the end of the week, it was at 53 bucks, and, made 700%, in 3 days on that bet. So, you just have to see sometimes when the markets are going to do this, because most of the time they're doing this. And then that eats your premiums, your puts and calls alive if you're just buying naked puts and calls. So, life's all about timing, right? So you just have to kind of feel out when, something's going to happen. And I feel like Zoom is going to happen tomorrow. Rajesh says, when do you send out alerts? Do you just suggest any option pick or just the stock? So I send out alerts every day. This is what my alert looks like today. Let me just find this email, and here it is. So those, this is kind of a different list. So this is the dollar Canadian. This was my email today. Suggested sell stop at 124.41 in dollar Canadian. It's in an established downtrend. And this is what, my, did I put out the wrong prices? I put the wrong prices in Zoom. It should be 378. I'll have to send out an update. I try to do this before the webinar, and I was a little too hasty here, so I'm pretty sure it's 378. Yeah, I'm gonna have to send out a price. So this should be 378. So sell short at 378, stop loss 287, take profit 235. I said ZM is formed an ascending broadening bear price pattern. Penetration below the low of the recent key reversal price action will very likely send prices careening lower. I really like the risk reward on this trade. So this is what my trades look like, and they're sent out every day. So Pamela says, so overall in trading, are you up or are you down? I am up a monster amount. I've literally made millions of dollars since I was in the hospital in January, because that's all I do now, because I can't go outside anymore. So Kasa says, what news source do you use before buying? So I guess you really didn't hear what I have been saying. I rely exclusively on price information. Market is ahead of the news. I do not rely on any external news. This is all I look at to make a buy sell decision.
Dakin is asking how far out on Zoom.
How far out meaning what? To buy a put or a call? I mean a put? You know, I'm gonna sell short the stock, which is very expensive, just because the options are very expensive. You know, so if we're trading at what are we trading at? Call it 380. You know, the 375 puts are 5. You know, and if I'm looking to make 3 times my money, I need to see this going to 15, which means that Zoom needs to be at 360 by the end of the week. So that's a bit of a reach, you know. And look, it could happen. I see it's, you know, pretty bearish, but I'm just going to short the stock. All right. So I think Dwight's got a video. You've got a video to play, right?
Yep.
All right. So we've got, 4 days together. I'm going to end it here. I'm going to let Dwight play you a video. Some of you asking questions about, certain things. How do I get signals? How do I get on certain programs? And Dwight's going to play you a video, and hopefully that'll answer. And then I'll be back tomorrow, 4:30 Eastern Standard Time. So thank you for checking in, and we'll see you back tomorrow. Thanks, Dwight.
No problem. All right, just a couple of seconds. I'll be playing that video.
Can I leave, Dwight?
Hey, yeah, Mark, sure thing.
Okay, thanks.
It's opened, and you're sitting on profits worth $472,449.80. It took you exactly 2 hours to accumulate that in your account. Let me walk you through the exact steps it took me to make this happen in my account. It's 9 a.m. in the pre-market trading session. I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about this one single stock all night. I don't usually get this bothered by a position. However, this one was yet another easy layup. When I finally got out of bed, I knew I was going to make hundreds of thousands of dollars in just a matter of a few minutes. I had to clear my head. Usually I would go for a walk or swim. Alas, none of that was possible. The surgery on my foot meant I had to find something else, anything else, to help me focus and relax. So I sat down and went through this trade setup in my head again. Earnings report, check. Chart pattern, check. Insurance bar, check. Overextension to the downside, check. It was all good to go. At 9 a.m., I grabbed my coffee and headed to my office. I bought 5,049 shares of Beyond Meat, the ticker symbol is BYND, for $621,258.16. I also bought 277 call options for $35,328.01. The market opened, and this is what occurred in BYND in just the first couple of trading hours. Price shot up by almost $20. At this time, I had positions in 2 broker accounts. If you tally them up, you can see the total is $864,949.80, and it was barely 11 a.m. I closed out some of my positions and was left with this $234,492.58 in open profits. By the end of the next day, I closed out everything, netting myself a big fat profit of $1.2 million. Admittedly, this has been my biggest trade in the last 12 months. Not all trades are obviously this big. Usually my profits range between $75,000 and $250,000. However, all of my big trades this year followed the exact same routine. Number 1, I whittle down the markets to a few that are going to move big. Number 2, I apply my price action, price pattern trading methodology to them and find out where the best entry is. 3, I trade in the pre-market stock market session and also when the market opens. 4, If the trade is good, I let it run. If it doesn't move, I close it out. So here's my question to you. Would you like to see truly high stakes trading where someone puts $10,000, $25,000, or even $1 million on a single trade and rakes in profits far into the hundreds of thousands of dollars in just a few mere hours? If the answer is yes, then listen up. I'm running a market open session every morning on Zoom where we can load up on trades together using these steps. I call it the boiler room. This radically simple yet effective 4-week program of watching and copying scientifically tested trading strategies is perfect for you even if you are completely new to trading, or you have years of experience as a struggling trader, or you don't have a computer. A phone is all that is needed these days. Before I tell you exactly how to sign up, first I need to tell you what this service is not. When I trade properly with 10,000 to 100,000 risk per trade, I'm raw, I'm politically incorrect, and I may even swear. If you're easily offended, then please don't join this program. This is not a Boy Scouts outing. If you had kids at home, send them out of the room or wear headphones. I'll share with you my every move, every mistake, every profit with excruciating detail. You'll get to watch the charts go up and down in real time as I place massive trades. This is for men and women who are ready to surround themselves with winners, like Mike, who had this to say on Facebook. I don't know if Mark Shaw hasn't realized the huge impact he is having on some of our lives. I've gone from working 12 hours a day in oil to sitting in front of my PC at home for a couple of hours a day, placing trades and learning from his journals. I'm now planning to go traveling too and can trade from my laptop along the way. Truly life-changing experience. Or like Andy, who wrote me an email saying, "Hi Mark, just a quick thank you. Last week I lost 51% of my trades but still turned a profit of 1,265 British pounds. And that was multiplied by 2 as I have 3 accounts, one for myself, one for my son, and another for my wife. So I grossed over 3,800 pounds in 1 week over 3 accounts using the methods you are teaching. Keep up the good work. Best regards, Andy." Andy actually attached a screenshot of the first account he mentioned in his email. I literally have hundreds upon hundreds of these kind of emails, comments, and reviews about my trading. So let me break down exactly how the boiler room works. Number 1, the pre-market session. At 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, you'll be let into a Zoom meeting room. You'll get a list of stocks that I'm looking to trade. We can also chit-chat for about 15 to 20 minutes, and I'll answer some questions about trading. Number 2, the market open, also known as the Mark blackout zone. When the market is close to opening at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, it becomes the Mark blackout zone. I will not be answering any questions or looking at any comments or chit-chatting. It's time to focus. Number 3, after the market opens. After the market has been open for about 30 minutes to an hour, we'll close out the session. The trades will have a stop loss and take profit. We'll rinse and repeat this process every single day. And look, although it is cool to see my account make 100,000 or more in a single day, your experience is likely to be more like Peter's. Let me walk you through the typical week in somebody else's trading account. What you're seeing right now is a 1-week snapshot in Peter's account. The Monday started with a long position in Beyond Meat, ticker symbol BYND. Here is his initial position. It was making 4,480 British pounds. His second position was making 371 pounds. Peter decided to close a portion of his trade for 2,236 British pounds profit. Then we made some losses in Uber. Notice how small the losses in Uber were compared to the BYND winning trade. Then on Tuesday, Peter closed out another partial position on Aero Environment Incorporated for a 594 pound profit. He went short on Aero Environment, and just after the market opened, it spiraled downwards and crashed about 12%. It literally just dropped off a cliff after I said that it was going to go down. You can see that Peter is still in half of his position. The next profitable trade was a long position in Moderna. He pocketed a cool 1,563 pounds. The initial entry was here. You can see that by applying my trade scaling method, Peter was able to enter a second time here, boosting his profits by over 800 pounds. Next, he closed out some more partial positions in BYND, Beyond Meat, adding 1,684 pounds and 299 pounds to his profits. On Thursday, not a lot happened. Peter closed out some more positions, including the rest of his Beyond Meat trade. And that's it. All in all, his account grew just shy of 7,000 pounds. That's over $9,000 in US dollar currency. I can't obviously guarantee that this is going to happen every single week. However, I can guarantee that it will give you the freedom to experience a scientifically tested trading strategy without needing to spend months and years learning it by yourself. And as any trader inside of the boiler room can tell you, I put my own money on the line. You will never get a trade from me that I don't enter myself. In fact, when we go live on Zoom before the market opens, you'll get a front row seat to my trade scaling entry method. It is a profit-dense technique that allows me to load up on positions while bypassing market manipulation. Let the market confirm your entry, then slide in with 1, 2, or even 3 more positions. When the trade shoots off in the right direction, it becomes an avalanche of cash flooding into your broker account. Your open profits go from this, and then to this, in a single 48-hour period. Not only that, you will actually enjoy trading again since you're doing it with a group of like-minded individuals. Racking up profits together, tossing aside losses like they mean nothing, and finally being among winners. All while watching as I buy and sell over $1 million worth of stocks on a single trade. Even if you know nothing about trading, you'll come out from the 4-week program a hardened veteran, having spent time with guys in the trenches. And that's the reason why I'm doing it. Instead of just trading by myself, I now have a group of awesome traders by my side, living, breathing, and making money in the markets together. All of us together knowing that every time you sit in front of the computer, iPad, or phone, you are working for you and nobody else. You truly can't find this anywhere at any price except here. However, here's the bad news. This service is very exclusive. It's not for everyone, which is why I don't have a buy now button below this video. In order to get into this program, you have to do something a little unconventional. I'm running a little experiment where I'm offering people a discount. If you'd like to be part of the boiler room and trade the market open together, number 1, send an email to shawzenstocks@gmail.com with the subject line, "Let me in." Number 2, one of my team members will send you further instructions. I don't want to make this publicly available, and I'll explain why in just a moment. First, make sure you copy the address below and email me at shawzenstocks@gmail.com with the subject line, "Let me in." When you do that, you will have taken the first step to joining other successful traders. We've had many interviews with people who have traded with me. Here's just a small snippet of what they had to say.
Damn it, I'm gonna learn this and I'm gonna figure it out. I finally got angry and said, you know what? I'm gonna figure it out.
You know, for me, it comes down to trust. I really trust what he does, and I follow him, and what he's saying is, you know, accurate. And I'm really big on details, and he has the details in there.
And I must say that with every winning trade, it just confirmed my belief in his method. That the way he reasons it, the trade, you know, is actually correct.
Mark is a genuine, sincere, caring individual who cares about his members. He is as smart as any Forex trader that I have ever met.
And it has actually helped me being more secure and be more calm about my trading. Good. And about my, I've heard that before also from others, and I would just repeat this, or repeat that. He makes me calm, you know. When I actually do trading, I'm not so scared anymore, you know.
And I do think that y'all's program is definitely the key to that end result.
You follow Mark for a little bit of time and you listen, you see he's truly genuine and he's the real deal. He's not full of it. He's not just, oh, I'm boasting. Hey, look what I made this time around. You know? No. It's A, B, and C is going to get you to D, E, and F.
So let's talk results then. So where are you at right now? So where's your account? You're in the black. How much has your account grown over the last, let's say, year?
So I think based on the screenshot I gave you, it was like about 70 grand CHF. It's still hovering around that level. Essentially what I've done is I withdrew the principal investment that I put in. So basically all that money that is in the account right now is actually the profits that I've gained.
I think I picked up probably 852 pips on it. You know, when you don't have a large trading account and you're trading standard lots, you know, they're worth $10. Pip is worth $10. So 852 pips in one trade is quite a financial gain.
That's what he actually brings, I think, to many, the calmness, you know, the don't worry, you know, believe what you're doing and just and analyze it, you know, and the way I do, and see if it works. And we must say, you know, his results, you know, are also showing that it works. So that's fine. I think that's great, and I'm looking forward to even work even more with him, you know.
I just follow what Mark has laid out, you know, exactly for a while and make sure you see how it works, because it does work. That's the way to go.
There's a better way and an easier way. And I think that's what resonates mostly with me. A much better way, much less stress, and the proof is in the pudding with Mark.
You know, if there's anyone out there who's lost a huge sum of money or is down his luck, and he needs something like the lifeline, I mean, to turn his life around, anyone can do that. Anyone. So it represents a lifeline, hope for anyone who's willing to learn and to apply his methods.
I like his recommendations. I like having a safety net. I like having someone to listen to, because, you know, there's always somebody smarter than yourself. You know, not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but when I follow somebody who I consider to be extremely knowledgeable and extremely trustworthy, I'm going to stick with them. And that's what I found in Mark.
And I do think that y'all's program is definitely the key to that end result.
To get started, send an email to shawsandstocks@gmail.com with the subject line, "Let me in." The reason why you have to email us to get in this program is really simple. I'm old school. I like the personal touch. I want to make sure 100% of your questions are answered. I want my team to personally talk to you via email so that you don't have any doubt in your mind that this is going to be the right decision for you. It's kind of like arriving at the airport flying first class. Unlike the people in coach, you're guided to your seat, offered a drink, and treated like an actual human being. The difference here is that I want to give you the personal touch without you having to pay for it up front. You risk nothing, you're treated with respect, you get all of your questions answered, and we both walk away happy. It's a little bit unconventional, but that's simply the way I roll. If being treated like a decent human being sounds good to you, then please send an email to shawsandstocks@gmail.com with the subject line, "Let me in." My team will rapidly get back to you with the details of how to join. However, you should do it quickly, and here's why. If you are one of the first 50 to join during this fresh intake, then I'm going to throw in the Pattern Trader Advisory for free. Every single week, I'll send you a 15 to 30-minute video analysis of all of the markets, including FX, gold, oil, and the stock markets. This will give you hands-on training so that you can accelerate your learning even faster. One of my members, Chris, wrote to me telling me how much he's enjoyed the education part of this service. Chris said, "Hi Mark, I doubt you'll read this, but in case you do, I just wanted to say thank you. I focused my time on learning the principles of your trading strategy, as I feel the education is of most importance to me. Even though the Boiler Room is a 4-week program, You'll get this weekly video report for an entire year, allowing you to piggyback off my analysis so you'll never be left unsure of what to do. However, I want to take it a step further, which is why I want to give you a full year's access to the Underground's Trader session. You'll get a live 1 to 2 hour session with me every single Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's over 45 live trading sessions within the next 12 months in a group environment, where you get to watch exactly how I go through the markets. You'll get to ask questions and discover exactly what is going to happen next in all of the major markets. All of these sessions are recorded. And that's not all. You're really motivated and want to nail this trading thing even faster, you can dive into my historical archives. We have well over 1,000 hours of live market training and analysis inside our members area. It's like being able to go back in time, look at all of my analysis in a particular market, and experience what happens afterwards. This is unfiltered and brutally transparent. The archive literally goes back many years. You're able to rapidly immerse yourself in a scientifically tested trading strategy, unlike anything else being offered online. To get access, you should email me at shawsandstocks@gmail.com with the subject line, "Let me in." Remember, you have to be one of the first 50 to get all of those bonuses. And since I love rewarding people who take action quickly, I'm going to throw in something else. One more thing. If you are lightning quick and manage to be one of the first 25 in this program, I'm going to offer you a no-brainer. Join me in the boiler room, meet the other traders, take some trades, make some money, and finally watch as someone puts hundreds of thousands of dollars at stake. Absorb all of the knowledge you possibly can about this scientifically tested trading method, go into the archives and consume all of the content. And then, if after 7 days you don't think this is for you, then you'll swiftly get a full refund, usually within 48 hours, depending on your bank. No ifs, ands, or buts, or hoops to jump through. You don't even have to give a reason why. Simply email support or reply to one of the emails in your inbox, and you'll instantly be taken care of. You'll be removed from the boiler room and will part as friends. However, I don't want to leave you high and dry. That's why I'll still give you full access to the weekly Pattern Trader Advisory video reports, the Underground Trader sessions on Fridays, and the members area for 12 months. You get to keep thousands of dollars worth of bonuses for free. This is my way of saying thanks for acting fast and giving us a try. Essentially, you have a zero-risk opportunity to get a peek behind the curtain. But you have to act really quickly to get that offer. It is beyond fair. In fact, the people working for me tried to talk me out of this offer. They believe it's going to get too many people rushing through the door. So that's why we've decided to limit it to 25 people. So if you're ready, then email me at shawsandstocks@gmail.com with the subject line, "Let me in." If you're still watching, I bet you have some questions. The most common one I get is this: if you're such a hotshot trader, then why are you selling this program? Although this seems like a fair question on the surface, it actually doesn't make much sense when you really think about it. I'll explain that in just a moment. First, let me answer the question. Reason number one, I love doing this. It gives me great fulfillment. Trading is ultimately a lonely game, and without growth, life gets boring, no matter how many people you have around me. For me, that growth comes from passing on my knowledge. And I'm not alone. Psychologists from all over the world agree that passing your knowledge and teaching to others gives people great fulfillment. And since trading the market open is something I'm doing anyways, well, why not benefit others by simply clicking Start Meeting inside of Zoom? Getting emails from other traders on our review site and their success stories is simply just amazing to me. Besides the birth of my son, there has been no better feeling in the world than helping people. It's a huge ego boost and makes me feel like I was put on earth for a reason to help others. If this sounds cheesy, it happens to also be true. Also, running this business has been a challenge to me. It was something I'd never done before. Simply put, I'm doing this because I really like doing it. Reason number two, it makes money, and who doesn't like money? First of all, it costs a lot of money to keep this business operational. I don't know how to set up a members area, a website, an email service, automations, and whatever else is involved. Therefore, I have to hire a ton of people. In total, I have 7 full-time staff members and 3 part-time. I also outsource a lot of stuff. All in all, I probably indirectly have 15 people to pay. So why would I spend $50,000 per month to give people this information for free? I could technically afford it, but it would be painful. By charging for my products and services, I'm able to run a sustainable business that makes money. Even though that money is small compared to my trading income, it's still money. It's funny because nobody seems to ask Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, or Elon Musk why they are still working. And those guys make a lot more money than I. And that's why this question inherently doesn't make sense. Why would any successful person ever do anything? Why doesn't every person with over $1 million just lie around all day? Richard Branson runs a small hotel on his private island where he lives. He makes a couple of million from it. Why? Well, why not? So if you ever see special promotions, limited time sales offers, or general business salesy stuff, know that is because I'm running a business and it gets more people to sign up. And the more people that sign up, the more emails and testimonials I get. The more emails and testimonials I get, the more people that sign up. The more people that sign up, the better the business does. So here's a recap. Number 1, trading alone is not fulfilling to me. I love teaching. Number 2, having this business makes me even more happy. I like money. Number 3, I don't actually do that much. I have a team of 9 people I pay to set everything up for me, including this presentation. Number 4, the success stories I get of changing people's lives really makes me feel awesome. I now have a second family of people all over the world. So with that out of the way, let me go back to the original question I asked at the beginning of this presentation. Will you let me hand you my most profitable trades every single Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday morning? If I promise, you can watch as I put $10,000, $25,000, and even $1 million on a single trade and rake in profits far into the hundreds of thousands of dollars in just a few mere hours. If the answer is yes, then email shawsandstocks@gmail.com with the subject line, "Let me in." Hopefully, I will see you on the other side.
All right, folks. See you tomorrow